In around 1800 BC, Joseph, the son of Jacob, grandson of Isaac, and great-grandson of Abraham, was nearing death at the age of 110. Joseph had been sold into slavery by his jealous brothers at a young age and was taken from Canaan to Egypt, where he was to spend the rest of his life. Though a Hebrew slave, he would, through a series of divine intervention, become the nation's governor and the second most powerful man in Egypt, and would eventually be reconciled with his brothers. The dying Joseph told his brothers, "I am about to die, but God will visit you and bring you up out of this land to the land he swore to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob." Joseph knew that one day God would end the Israelites' slavery in Egypt and wanted his bones taken and buried in the land promised to his ancestors. Little by little I will drive them out from before you, until you have increased and possessed the land. And I will set your border from the Red Sea to the Sea of the Philistines, and from the wilderness to the Euphrates. For I will give the inhabitants of the land into your hand, and you shall drive them out before you. Exodus 23, verses 30 and 31. In around 1440 BC, led by Moses and his brother Aaron, the Israelites left Egypt, their slavery done after 430 years, bound for the Promised Land. The people, numbering 600,000 besides all the women and children, left on foot. People of various sorts went with them, and there were flocks and herds, a vast exodus of cattle. God told Moses to camp at a place called Pi-hahiroth, along the shore of the Red Sea. Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, and his staff said, "What is this we have done, letting all these slaves get away?" So Pharaoh led the chase in his chariot, followed by the pick of Egypt's chariot corps, 600 chariots in all, and other chariots driven by the Egyptian officers. Pharaoh's entire army, horses, chariots, and charioteers, were used in the chase. As the Egyptian army approached, the people of Israel saw them far in the distance, speeding after them, and they were terribly frightened, trapped between the Egyptians and the Red Sea. They cried out to the Lord to help them. And they turned against Moses, saying, "Have you brought us out here to die in the desert because there were not enough graves in Egypt? Why did you make us leave Egypt? Isn't this what we told you when we were slaves, to leave us alone? We said it would be better to be slaves to the Egyptians than dead in the wilderness." But Moses told the people, "Don't be afraid. Just stand where you are and watch, and you will see the wonderful way the Lord will rescue you today. The Egyptians you are looking at, you will never see them again." The Lord instructed Moses to hold his staff out over the water, and when he did, the Lord opened up a path through the sea, with walls of water on each side, and a strong east wind blew all night, drying the sea bottom. So the people of Israel walked through the sea on dry ground. Then the Egyptians followed them between the walls of water, along the bottom of the sea, all of Pharaoh's horses, chariots, and horsemen. Their chariot wheels began coming off, so their chariots scraped along dry ground. When all the Israelites were on the other side, the Lord said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand again over the sea, so that the water will come back over the Egyptians and their chariots and horses." Moses did, and the sea returned to normal beneath the morning light. The Egyptians tried to flee, but the Lord drowned them in the sea. Of the army of Pharaoh that chased after Israel, not one remained alive. And when the Israelites saw the mighty hand of the Lord displayed against the Egyptians, the people feared the Lord and put their trust in him and in Moses his servant. The Israelites began their journey to the Promised Land, with the Lord guiding them by a pillar of cloud during the daytime and a pillar of fire at night. God fed them by raining down from heaven a flaky substance called manna, which the people could grind and bake as bread or cake. The manna fell from the sky every day except the Sabbath, so twice as much manna fell the day before the Sabbath for the people to gather. They camped at a place called Rephidim, where they found no water, and the people began complaining to Moses. Moses cried out to the Lord, and the Lord told him to stand in front of a rock at Mount Horeb. Moses was commanded to strike the rock, and water rushed out for all the people to drink. While camped at Rephidim, they were attacked by the people of Amalek, an enemy nation that came from the descendants of Esau. It is here that Joshua is mentioned in the Bible for the first time. Not much is known about his background. We know that he was born in Egypt and that his father was a man named Nun, who was from the tribe of Ephraim. We know that he was a skilled military leader, so skilled that he was the commander of the armed troops for the nation of the Lord. We know that he was about 40 years old at the time the Israelites left Egypt. We know that his original name was Hoshea, but Moses later renamed him Joshua, meaning God is deliverance. At the time, Joshua must have thought the Israelites would make a swift journey and then cross the Jordan River into the Promised Land, with Moses leading the way. But that's not how it would play out. At Rephidim, Moses said to Joshua, "Choose some of our men to go out and fight the Amalekites. Tomorrow I will stand on the top of the hill with the staff of God in my hands." So Joshua fought the Amalekites, as Moses had ordered, and Moses and Aaron and Hur, a companion from the tribe of Judah, went to the top of the hill. As long as Moses held up his hands, the Israelites were winning. But whenever he lowered his hands, the Amalekites were winning. Aaron and Hur held his hands up, one on one side and one on the other, so that his hands remained steady until sunset. So Joshua overcame the Amalekite army with the sword. The Lord said to Moses, "Write this on a scroll as something to be remembered, and make sure that Joshua hears it. Because I will completely blot out the name of Amalek from under heaven." Moses built an altar and called it, "The Lord is my banner." He said the Lord will be at war against the Amalekites from generation to generation. The Israelites reached Mount Sinai, and the Lord said to Moses, "Come up to me on the mountain and stay here, and I will give you the tablets of stone with the law and commandments I have written for their instruction." Moses set out with Joshua and went up to the mountain of God. When Moses went up on the mountain, a cloud covered it, and the glory of the Lord settled on Mount Sinai. For 6 days the cloud covered the mountain, and on the 7th day the Lord called to Moses from within the cloud. To the Israelites below, the glory of the Lord looked like a consuming fire on top of the mountain. Moses entered the cloud as he went up the mountain, and he stayed there 40 days and 40 nights. The Lord told Moses for the Israelites to present an offering and to make a sanctuary for him, so that he will dwell among them. It was to be a tabernacle made from his specific instructions. Aaron and his sons were to serve the Lord as priests, and sacred garments were to be made for Aaron to bring him dignity and honor. When the people saw that Moses was so long in coming down from the mountain, they said to Aaron, "Come, make us gods who will go before us. As for this fellow Moses who brought us up out of Egypt, we don't know what happened to him." Aaron said, "Take off the gold earrings that your wives, your sons, and your daughters are wearing, and bring them to me." Aaron took what they gave him and made it into an idol, shaped like a calf, fashioning it with a tool. The people looked upon the golden calf as the Lord of Israel who brought them out of Egypt. Aaron built an altar in front of the calf and said, "Tomorrow there will be a festival for the Lord." So the next day the people rose early and sacrificed burnt offerings and presented fellowship offerings. Afterward, they sat down to eat and drink and got up to indulge in revelry. Up on the mountain, the Lord said to Moses, "Go down, because your people whom you brought out of Egypt have become corrupt. They have been quick to turn away from what I commanded them, and have made themselves an idol cast in the shape of a calf." The Lord said he would destroy the people and make Moses and his descendants into a great nation. Moses pleaded with God to change his mind and spare the people, and the Lord relented. Moses went down the mountain, along with Joshua, carrying the 2 tablets of the covenant law in his hands. When Joshua heard the noise of the people shouting, he said to Moses, "There is the sound of war in the camp." Moses replied, "It is not the sound of victory, it is not the sound of defeat. It is the sound of singing that I hear." When Moses saw the calf and the dancing, his anger burned, and he threw the tablets out of his hands, breaking them into pieces at the foot of the mountain. He took the calf and burned it in the fire. Then he ground it into powder, scattered it on the water, and made the Israelites drink it. Moses stood at the entrance of the camp and said, "Whoever is for the Lord, come to me." Men from the tribe of Levi, a tribe named after the 3rd son of Jacob, came forward. Moses ordered each man to strap a sword to his side and go back and forth through the camp from one end to the other, each killing his brother, friend, and neighbor. The Levites did as Moses commanded, and about 3,000 Israelites perished that day. Later, the Lord would call Moses to the mountain again and write the law on new tablets to replace the tablets that had been broken.